Okay, this video is for pupils who are doing National 3 Geography. First, there are some rules you must follow. However you write your answers up, you can write them on paper, you can download and print the actual questions and fill in the answers on the sheets, or you can even email me the answers. But however you do it, the top of the answers must have National 3 Unit Assessment Human Environments, and each answer must have the assessment outcome code. So you'll see the first question we're going to do is assessment outcome 1.1. So I'm going to write assessment outcome 1.1. Now in this question we're going to be asked to do some research. I'm going to show you an atlas. You need to look up the countries UK and India and tell me what their birth rate, death rate and life expectancy are. I've made a quick sketch of the table. You can copy me. Pause the video if you want to take time to copy. Here's the UK, here's India. Here's birth rate, death rate and life expectancy. We need to put numbers here and here, here and here, here and here to reflect these values. So let's look at the atlas. If you look at this atlas, again pause the video to give yourself time to concentrate, you'll find that the countries on the left are in alphabetical order. You can use this to find India, and then I want you to tell me where within these outlined areas are the numbers that we're looking for. So this is birth rate. One of these numbers is India's number. Write down the correct one. This is death rate. One of these numbers is India's number. Write down the correct one. And this is life expectancy. Select the correct value and write it into your table. Pause the video if you want any more time to study that. Okay. Now let's look at the United Kingdom. This time find the United Kingdom down the alphabetical list and then write down the birth rate, death rate and life expectancy. Pause the video if you want any more time to do that. Okay. Now that you have filled in the table with the numbers, we need to do assessment outcome 1.2. Assessment outcome 1.2 asks us to use the table to make 3 comparisons between the UK and India. This is very easy to do. Just complete these sentences. The UK's birth rate is, well, higher or lower, you decide. The UK's death rate is higher or lower. Again, look at the numbers and decide. Great. Let's move on to assessment outcome 2.1. In assessment outcome 2.1, we're going to study the diagram to describe the differences between the living conditions in UK and India. Let's start off with the British house. The British house is nicer, but can you say why? The UK house is, I need you to finish that sentence. Why is the UK house nicer to live in? the Indian houses, I need you to say something about them too. Let's look at the picture together. UK houses are really well built, solid constructions with space for living and for playing. Look at this lovely garden area. The windows will be double glazed and draft free. And look, they even have a burglar alarm to keep them safe. There's a number of reasons why this house is nicer. Listen to that part again if you want to complete your sentence about the UK house. The Indian houses are not such a solid design. They look like they might fall down. And what do you think this river is being used for? What might people do in that river, or what might people use the water for that could be bad for your health? Turn one of those facts into a sentence about the Indian houses. Okay, let's move on. Assessment outcome 2.2. Describe factors influencing population change. Why is India's population growing quickly? Can we give 2 reasons? So if we're giving reasons, we have to use the word because to explain ourselves. So I'll start the sentences for you. India's population is growing because. Well, let's think about some of the possible reasons. India's population is growing because maybe people don't have access to contraception. Maybe some people in India are having large families because children can work for the family. Maybe some people in India are having large families because children can care for them when they are elderly. Those are 3 good reasons why people have larger families. Can you remember any one of those reasons? I'm sorry, any 2 of those reasons, and turn them into sentences like this. Listen to this part of the video again if you want to revise. Let's move on to assessment outcome 2.3. Remember, every time you do this, you must write down the assessment outcome title. I'm going to underline these now actually, just to make them a bit easier to see. Let's look at 2.3. Briefly describe land use in an urban area. Describe the features of the CBD. The CBD stands for the Central Business District, and it's the city centre. So, what kind of shops would we find in the city centre? Would they be expensive shops, or would they be cheaper shops? What kind of transport would you find in the city centre? Would you find bus stations and train stations? And finally, think about the environment of the city centre. What do you think pollution will be like in the city centre? Do you think it will be good, or do you think it will be bad? So once again, what kind of shops do we find? Are they expensive shops, or are they cheaper shops? In transport, do we find train stations and bus stations in the city centre? And what about pollution? Is the pollution level going to be good, or is the pollution level going to be bad in the city centre? Make a simple sentence out of each of these to pass the outcome. Okay everyone, that's the National 3 Human Environments Unit Assessment completed. Remember, except for this table at the top which you need to fill in, everything else must be written out as a sentence. Pause and replay the video at each section if you want to revise how to answer the questions correctly. Okay?